right, 2 minutes on the clock, or on the hourglass. I said yesterday that I really wanted to step away from that metaphor, and then I just ended up using it even more and pushing it even further, which doesn't really help us at all to be able to construct another way of looking at this, which is helpful to be able to understand it in one way, like a library, but it's also helpful in a certain respect to compare it to something else. And as we know, DNA is not a book. It's not cover to cover. It's not pages. It's more like a rope. And I couldn't really find a rope, but I did find this. So I'm going to open this up, and I have one of these. Look at that. Interesting. I guess. I mean, if you know what this thing is. It's kind of like a rope, and it's a long strand of things. And this is an open book. It's honestly able to look at the code itself. See, DNA is kind of almost like a zipper, which we'll talk about later on. It unzips to be able to get to the inside of it. But the first step is making sure that it's unwound. And histones, even though they're not attached and don't really anchor the DNA, it's kind of like wrapping an old school cord around the controller itself and then storing it. I mean, a tangled mess of controller wires, I get it. Like, a lot of it's Bluetooth or some kind of, like, you know, Wi-Fi kind of capability now. But this is old school. I mean, this is pretty much what it was for a long time. You were tethered to the TV. And looking at that, to be able to pack things, you just wrap them around your controller. And that's kind of more along the lines of what histones are really doing. They wrap the DNA around them so that you can easily store it. But that's not as simple as it is. It's not just as simple as books. This is so that this is turned off. Think about it. Can you play with the controller whenever this mess of tangled wires are in your way? No. This is how you put it away. You silence it. You turn it off. You don't actually use it at that point in time. This is DNA that is not really coding for anything. The proteins that DNA is coding for are somewhere else being used. There's time again.